Hi, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming back to my podcast. It is I can't believe we're in August already. And in case you guys don't know, because perhaps you don't follow me on Instagram or YouTube, which I do have to let you know that I'm available there too. I do have an account. You can just find me by searching Julissa Designs. Um and you'll see the logo right there, and then you know it's me. But anyways, I do share a lot on Instagram, and everybody that I guess, if you're interested, you kind of know that I am getting ready to work to present my new collection, my spring 2023 collection, this year, New Year Fashion Week, and that's coming up next month in September. And I've been working on this collection for a while, I guess. I think I fully started working on it production wise in May, and I've been working ever since. Very disciplined with my time at the studio. There are days I don't want to be there, but I have to be there. And today is August the 7th, and I'm so thankful to say that I already have 10 looks. About 80% completed, which is great news. So this week coming up, I'm gonna start going back to look one and start doing the finishing touches. Which for me is a great accomplishment. Not trying to brag or anything like that, but I am so thankful that I got myself started, and I already have 10 looks without including the two men's look that God wanted me to do. But I'm gonna be separating time for that later in August because I had said I found it quite difficult to do men's look, but God wants me to include men's in this collection, men's look, and I'm gonna do what God says, right? But anyways, so I gotta say one thing though. It is so true what they say, the minute you're trying to do something big for God, you can see the attacks of the enemy go overboard. Like, I can totally feel it. Um, I'm trying to not get myself too emotional, and I should know better that it is just an attack and all of that, but it's hard to feel the hatred from certain people. It's hard to see it, even though people know what I do. The people that are close to me, they know what I do. They know what I'm working for. They know that I'm not just a fashion designer trying to present her collection. Okay, um, I am a fashion designer who's trying to use her gifts and talents to glorify God. So it's not just presenting New Year Fashion Week and pack up and go home. I'm trying to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm trying to do a good job so that I can be the light in the world that was so much needed, especially the world of fashion. Okay, and trying to somehow in that catwalk, right? In that music shows and all of that, trying to inspire others to seek Jesus. And it has been constant attacks, and this, last, like this month that just passed July, I felt definitely attacked by a close person of mine, and God took care of it. I know, I know God will have done it anyways. But during the attacks, I'm like, wow, this guy is really going after me for no reason at all. When people get mad at you, even though they want to get mad at the other person, but perhaps they see you as a weak person, so they like to take their anger out of you, right? And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, though. So the topic for today is emotional abuse, okay? And I learned later in life, it's so crazy, later in life, that that's what I was going through. That's one of the things about getting older, is that you discover things about yourself that you have been tolerating for a while. So I discovered that I felt, not back in July, but like this beginning of the year, I felt God tell me, you have to stand up for yourself more. And that tells you how much I've been taking, because I'm one of those people, right? I used to be one of those people that if somebody will say something offensive to me, I would just take it, right? I wouldn't say anything back. I won't stand up for myself. But what I'll do is I'll separate myself from that person. And it's okay to separate yourself from people who are crushing your spirit, okay? It's okay to separate yourself from people who are being rude to you for no reason at all. Just, your presence offends them for some reason, but whatever. I'm trying very hard to like finish the podcast without, crying. But I was like, I need to stand up more for myself. And I remember going back, like maybe 7 years ago or something like that. I used to be that person. I would not take it. You're not gonna speak to me. I remember speaking like that to managers and things like that, and people who wanted to poke at me for no reason at all. And I would stand up for myself. And then I don't know what happened I don't know what happened with me since that I became this submissive person, and I don't like to be looked at as a submissive person or a shy person at all, because I know my people mistake, I guess you can say, being reserved to being shy, right? And it's two different things, okay? I know when to speak, and people don't respect that. They don't see you talking, they're like, oh, she's shy. It's one thing to know when to speak, okay? But going back to the emotional abuse and not standing up enough for yourself, I learned that I have been emotionally abused for many years, and I didn't realize what it was. One thing I gotta say here, I don't know how to say the word, but I gotta say one thing, and I don't think in my life what I think is this: divorce is horrible, especially when there are kids involved. Okay, I'm not trying to shame anybody who has gone through a divorce. I am terrified of divorce. Okay, I am not, I'm not like a 27-year-old person. Like, I'm not, that's not my age. I'm a lot older than that. And I am so terrified of divorce because being kind of like a reserved person that I am, to get so close to somebody, right? And then be betrayed in the sense that then you see a different type of person who they are. Like you begin to see them for who they are. That will kill me. Like you're gonna get intimate with somebody and you're gonna open up yourself so much and be emotional with that person. And then something can happen and then they're no longer like want to be with you. That terrifies me. Like one of my biggest fear, and I know I'm not supposed to have fear, but I just divorce, like I hate divorce. It's one of the, my parents are divorced, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Because when I was younger, my dad left when I was a week old. I'm not trying to, I love my dad. I speak to him regularly. Um, but one of the things that I learned was my dad left when I was a week old. So I didn't really have that relationship with him. Yes, we came to New York City when I was like 10 years old and spent like a month with him. I got to see him more then, but I was already 10 years old. So he wasn't really around. He wasn't the immediate person there, right? And just, speaking about that, like, I I miss having that father figure in the home. And I think it's so crazy because once you're going through it, you don't see it then, right? Once you're going through it, you don't see it then, because I know my mom did such a great job with us, with me and my sister. My mom took care of everything. She was a working mom. She took us to school, all of that stuff. And like I said, I remember a lot of times, I'm not trying to say anything about my parents, nothing like that, but a lot of the times what I heard, what I remember as a child was that when things were not working out, we were having some type of difficulty. Like I told you guys in my previous episode about Zona Colonial and the fire that happened in our home. It was basically, your dad doesn't want to help, and a lot of your dad, can you believe your dad? And I don't think I ever shared this with anybody, but I remember thinking to myself, man, I am like a child and I'm being blamed for my dad's actions. And it just feels so bad because I remember thinking when I was younger, I'm like, wait a second. I didn't pick my dad, but I guess in some type of defense mechanism, my mom felt better about herself when she would say something like, "Your dad doesn't want to help you with this. Your dad hang up the phone on me." And believe it or not, you know, those are type of emotional abuse. Maybe not in the a higher degree, but it still is because you're not even part of that adult conversation, but because of the result, the outcome of it, you're being blamed for it, okay? And I remember, and I love my mom so much, oh my goodness. I'm not trying to say anything about her. All I'm saying is that sometimes you don't recognize emotional abuse until you're much older, because then you get to see life for what it is, right? When you're like, I used to play outside all the time, growing up in the Dominican Republic. I was out with my grandfather to the parks every afternoon. He would just take me there, riding my bike and playing with the neighborhood kids, all of that stuff. So if she would have said something like that, your dad this, your dad the other, I would brush it off and I would just, go on with my day. Like, I don't care. But then you see it. It's so crazy how sometimes you see it after it happens, years after, right? And by definition, right? Let me just give you by definition what emotional abuse is, right? Um, it goes in hand with like manipulation and things like that. Um, Science, I'll give you what it is first before I tell you some signs that you can look out for, right? So emotional abuse is is when like somebody like not physically try to hurt you, right? They hurt you with their words, right? And we know that words carry a lot. That's biblical, right? It's a verse in the Bible. But you know then throughout the years I learned something about myself, right? The reason that sometimes I don't stick up a lot for myself is this: when I was growing up, because it goes back to your upbringing, right? Everything I would say, I felt like everything was always like a problem. So I was like, I'm not talking anymore. I don't want to, I don't want to feel that shame for speaking up or saying, no, I don't want to do that. It would be like, you know, don't you want to, spend time with your uncle today? Like, and I'll be like, no, I don't, I used to be very close with my mom, too much, I guess. And it's like, how can you not want? You're crazy. You don't want to spend time with family. So that was like, there's no respect for your choices, right? You have an opinion, you are completely taken down. There's no respect for your choices. If you didn't feel like doing something, there's no respect. Um, and people are gonna say she's so sensitive, she's so emotional, she starts crying very easily, and that's another thing too, right? I would To avoid those comments towards me, I would just go ahead with whatever, right? Um, don't you wanna, like I remember this is so crazy because I don't want to speak about people specifically, even though I already mentioned my parents, but I remember like, let's just say in the break room at school, right? I used to be such a slow eater. Like I would take my time with my food. And I remember one time, like I was on break with my classmates on break, and I would always be the last person eating, right? And then there was this person who would just swallow basically their meal, and they would come rushing to me and be like, "Can I have some of yours?" And I'm thinking to myself, man, you swallow your food so that you don't share with me. And now you're like, you're calling me names because I don't want to share my food with you. You're so bad, you're so ugly, you're so this. And then what I will do, I will eventually share my food. And people are gonna say things like, oh yeah, that's just little kid stuff. Everybody goes through that type of life and bullying. All I'm saying is it begins like that, right? It begins when you're younger. It begins because perhaps in the home there was no respect for your opinions. There was no respect, and I see it now. I see it even more, right? It's this manipulation. Let me tell you something. People can get in their head things to get others to hate you for no reason whatsoever, just because perhaps you decline to help at some point, and you take doing boundaries, right, to respect yourself. It's so crazy because today I was thinking to myself, I am basically every day trying to save little Julissa, right? It's almost like I am trying to become my own hero in my life, because I know I've been dealing with this for a while, right? This shame, and you're horrible because you don't want to do that. Because I believe in my family, there people don't respect your decisions. And I don't know if that has something to do with the divorce and the separation, all of that. But, you know, the minute you say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do that, right? You're a horrible person. Like, let's just say my mom has been sick for a while now, right? And here I am talking about a specific person, but this is something that has been happening in my life, right? For the past 4 years or so. Um, my mom is to the point that she's so sick that I believe 100%, my mom needs 24/7 care, okay? My mom doesn't move on her own. She needs help with mobility. I am I am, let's just say, old enough to know and mature enough to know that I cannot physically take care of my mother. And I understand, like, I cannot feel like if I will take care of my anxiety will go off the roof. If I have to take care of my mom right now on a daily basis, one, I know I cannot take care of her. I know if that happens to be the case, I will have to stop everything that I do. I will not have a job. I will not have my business. I will not have anything going in my life. I will not volunteer at the church. I mean, I will not serve, nothing like that, because I will be so overwhelmed with the caring of a sick parent. But because I know that I cannot do it, that's not being respected enough. I'm being looked at as a bad person. And like I told you guys, out of anybody, like I love my mom out of probably the people that are closer to me, I love my mom the most. My mom has always understand who I was, okay? Always respected who I was. Um, and she, you know, like I love her so much, right? But one thing I know for sure, I cannot physically take care of her. My mom needs 24/7 care, right? So I am to the point that I rather, she used to be in a nursing home before the pandemic. So I rather put her in a place where she can be taken care of 24/7. And I don't put in mind going after work and bring her dinner like we used to do before. But that choice, as I'm I'm an old woman. Like, I am old enough to make decisions like that. That's not being respected by other family members, and that is the sad truth. That's the emotional abuse that is killing me right now, because it's like it's guilt, shame. Like when they use um guilt to kind of like make you feel bad about a choice that you made, right? And I just don't understand why that cannot be respected. I'm not even married yet, okay? I wouldn't mind going to see, like, before the pandemic, me and my sister will alternate and see her at the nursing home every day. One day you go, the next day you go. We'll bring her dinner, make sure everything's good, clean up for her a little bit, organize some stuff, and leave. You know, when she was in the nursing home, about a year and a half ago, maybe, there were things that were said by family members. Oh, she doesn't deserve to be there. Like, are you serious? Like, don't you think it's hard enough for us as the immediate family to understand that we don't want to see my mom like in that place like that, but because of the circumstances that she's going through at the moment, it's making us take such a difficult choice like that, right? And I was like, I learned something. I learned that people sometimes will only understand your situation until they're going through it. I will say to people, "Oh yeah, she's actually in a nursing home." They're like, "In a nursing home?" And I will say, I'm like, "Yeah, me and my sister would go every day and bring her dinner and eat dinner with her." Yeah, but in a nursing home, like it's so sad that people do not respect your situation into they go through something like that. And the thing is this, right? I am old enough, like I said, to make a decision like that. I love my mom so much, but I know she needs the care that I cannot provide. And that should be enough for people to respect my decision like that. But what happened is that there's, people want to make it seem like you are being selfish for making a choice like that. Okay? Like I told you guys, not everybody's built the same. There are people who take care of their parents in their home 24/7. That's awesome for them. I'm so thankful that they can do that. Okay? I know I cannot physically do it. I know I I have I know 100% that I cannot do it. And if God wanted me to do that, to put myself in that and not use me for anything, right? Because like I told you guys, I don't think I'll be able to manage having a full-time job, much less do anything else, right? If I have to take care of her 24/7. I don't even have a husband. Like let's just say, if I make the choice, I'll be like, you know what, my mom is coming to live in my house. I don't even have a husband to be like, oh, if I'm sick today, you'll take care of it. I'm gonna guilt trip somebody else in my family to say, come and take care of her because I'm sick. Like those are smart decisions that people should make before embarking into a journey like that. I don't even have a husband, but I'm gonna guilt trip somebody else because they didn't decide what I decide. Like I don't understand how people don't see that is emotional manipulation. It's an emotional abuse out of manipulation. So let me see if I can get you guys some signs that you can see. Emotional manipulation, says here in this article, occurs when a manipulative person seeks power over someone else and employs dishonest or exploitive strategies to gain it. Unlike people in healthy relationships which demonstrate reciprocity and cooperation, an emotional manipulator looks to use control or even victimize somebody else. Okay? I began by telling you guys, I know that Satan knows my plan with this whole new fashion week, and I feel the attacks. I have entered rooms where I feel rejected. I mean, the energy is hostile. It's crazy how one day we love you and the next day we don't want to see you anymore, and you feel it. I'm not trying to be paranoid, nothing like that. But it all goes to that choice that I made that I cannot physically take care of my mom. And that goes back to my upbringing and this disrespect to myself that I'm not able as an adult now, a very well underage adult right now. I can still not make decisions like that for myself. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, like I said, you know, I don't understand what that is, but it's not being respected. Okay. um Basically, you're a horrible person because you don't want to take on this journey, even though you say that you cannot do it, right? Because now you're being selfish. Okay. um it's so crazy that I'm trying to save myself still. And like I told you guys, beginning of the year, God said to me, you're not sticking up for yourself enough. And that tells you I've been taking a lot for a while now. Okay. Um, Emotional manipulators often use mind games to seize the power in relationship. I have seen mind games play on me like crazy. It's crazy. I have scenario tras scenario, sample tras example that because of time concern I cannot get to it right now. But it's this control, and I feel it. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to that stage in my life. Sometimes you think you overcome something, and the worst thing is to realize you're still in that same lane. You haven't overcome that. And it's so sad. It is such a sad state to be in. It says here, a healthy relationship is based on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. This is true of personal relationship as well as professional one. Sometimes people seek to exploit this element of a relationship in order to benefit themselves in some other way. The signs of emotional manipulation can be subtle. They often are hard to identify, especially when they're happening to you. Like I told you guys, sometimes you don't even realize that you're being emotionally abused until later in life. You know, going back to sharing my lunch. Yes, as a child, we want to tell all the child they have to share, but growing up with somebody who be like, well, how come they didn't come and share their lunch with me? They ate super fast and then they wanted to grab my entire, basically take a piece out of my lunch that I was taking my time eating. And if I kept saying no, but I was the bad person, I was ugly, I was this, I was the other, until I gave in. And that was the beginning. Like it probably, so many other things happened before that. Um, you can learn to recognize the manipulation and stop it. You can also learn to protect your self esteem and sanity too. I remember having a conversation when it comes to like taking care of my mom to one of my friends. And you see, like, I think in society, there is some type of shame to that. Okay, just because, let me tell you something, just because you put a parent on a nursing home does not mean that you don't care for them. Okay, if anything, like you're trying to care for them because they have an available nurse, an available doctor. I remember getting calls from my mom when she was in the nursing home, like I said, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. They will be like, "Oh, we noticed she has a rash and we already gave her a cream for it." Like if she was in my house and I was like taking care of her, I would have taken her to the doctor. I would have go to find an appointment for that day, right? Um, get transportation, all of that stuff, and then go to the pharmacy, make sure all of that. And like, why is society so hard on people who are making decisions to better care for their parents, or or caring also for themselves? Yes, okay, it's okay for me to say there's so many things that I know God wants me to do. I don't think I can physically take care of my mom right now. I would love, to bring her dinner every time she's in a nursing home, but my choice should be respected. I'm an adult now. Why is that choice not being respected? Because it has never been respected. I never been respected. I remember being in college and having this visitation week on a weekly basis. And I remember one time I said, "Hey, you guys don't have to come this weekend because I actually have finals to do, and I really want to study." Fine, and it could be like a hang up of a call because I said, "Hey, I have to study. I don't want to be walking around in the mall every weekend. You guys don't have to come visit me every weekend." But I'm the problem because I'm trying to set boundaries. I'm the one that's being looked at as a bad person, and it's so sad because I'm still trying to save Julissa from all of that. It's so crazy, And I'm like, man, I want to get married, I want to have kids, but like, there's so many things that still have to change. And I think that's the change is happening this year. Thanks be to God that He said, stick up more for yourself. And I know why He said that. Okay, I don't have to just be like, fine, and then be like, I don't, I'm not talking to this person anymore. He wants you to, hey, say, I don't appreciate you talking to me like that. And tell it how it is. You don't have to just take it like unfollow people. It's okay to stand up for yourself, but when I was growing up, that was oh, Ulysses being rude today because she said she didn't like, oh, they're just playing with you. Don't get everything so personal. It's so sad. I'm running out of time, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And if you have something to say, please leave me a comment. God bless everybody.